position, and we have discussed several topics related to that. And today we are going to start a new topic, that is the force that keeps the constitutional matter in its position. So before going to that, let us discuss about the states of matter. As you all know already, there are mainly three states of matter exist. What are the three states of matter? That are the solid, liquid and gas. These are the three states of matter, main three states of matter generally exist in nature, and this is a well known to you all. But beside this, there are again two more states of matter which is not in your course, but I am explaining it a little bit. So apart from solid, liquid and gas, there are also again two states of matter. One is the plasma state and another is the Bose-Einstein state. Plasma states of matter is, just in short formatting, plasma states of matter is having the highest temperature. When matter exists in very hot temperature, very high temperature, that temperature or that condition we call it as plasma state or plasma condition. For example, we can take fire. Okay, fire is a state of matter, we call it as plasma state, means where the matter is in its extreme temperature, in high temperature. Bose-Einstein temperature, BST also we can write. Bose-Einstein temperature is the temperature that is the lowest, okay, lowest temperature, or else here we can write 0 degrees Celsius. When matter exists in 0 degrees Celsius, that condition or that condition of matter we call it as Bose-Einstein state. So need not to go detail about this. The main topic here we have to cover is the solid, liquid and gaseous state. But remember, apart from solid, liquid and gas, there are also again two more states of matter, that are the plasma state, which exist in extreme high condition or high temperature. Bose-Einstein temperature, Bose-Einstein state, where the temperature is very low, we can write or we can say 0 degrees Celsius is the temperature. So very high is the plasma state, very low is the Bose-Einstein state. So let us come to our topic, that is solid, liquid and gas. It is a very familiar topic to you, and the topic that we are going to discuss today is already known to you. Just I am giving you the recap. Okay. So how we can determine whether it is a solid or liquid or gas. There are some difference between solid, liquid and gas. Suppose here, if we will talk about the particle of the solid, liquids and gas. Suppose, for example, here I am showing you the particles of solid, liquid and gas. If we will see, the particles of solid are very tightly packed, isn't it? The particles in solids are very tightly packed. These are the particles. At the same time, if you will see the particles in liquid, what is the position? They are little apart from each other. So these are the particles in liquid. Similarly, if you will see the particles in gas, they are far apart from each other. So these are the particles in gas. So what you can observe by seeing these particles, we can see that here solid, liquid and gas. Here we can see that in solids the particles are very closely packed or very tightly packed, means there is a force of attraction among the particles. We are talking about the force. Okay, there is a force of attraction among the particles which holds the particle together, which holds the particle very close to each other. Here also the liquids also have a force of attraction. Okay, it's not that only solid is having the interparticle force of attraction. Liquids have also the force of attraction, but the force of attraction of the interparticle force of attraction in liquid is less than that of in solid. And what about gas? You can see gas have also force of attraction. The particles also exist the force of attraction among themselves, but it is much more less as compared to the solid, and less also as compared to liquid. So if we will talk in terms of the interparticle force of attraction, then what we can say? The interparticle force of attraction, interparticle force, don't worry about interparticle space and force, again I will discuss in the next topic. The interparticle force of attraction is highest in solid, okay, like the second grade, highest in solid, and then liquid has little less than solid, and gaseous state has less than liquid. Means the interparticle force is the most in solids, less in liquid, and least in gases. So now we can say that a solid has definite shape and volume. As the particles of solids are very tightly packed to each other, a solid can form a definite shape. This is a solid. Okay, any solid we can see, it can form a definite shape until any external force is applied. If I will apply a force to break this marker, then only I can break this, or else it will remain in its original shape only. So this is the main thing about solid, that solids have a definite shape and also it has a definite volume. Okay, the surface area covered by solid is definite. We cannot change the surface area of this marker. I cannot change the area covered by the marker. Okay, I cannot change its volume. Why? Because the particles in these marker are very tightly held to each other. So solids have definite shape and volume. They have also definite shape and definite volume. Shape also they have a constant shape and they have also a definite volume. But similarly, if we will compare it with liquid, liquids do not have generally definite shape. Okay, we cannot say a liquid, or we cannot see a particular shape of the liquid. But what is the shape? How we can determine the shape of the liquid? We can determine the shape of the liquid depending upon the container where it is kept. You all got different kinds of jars or bottles in your house, or different shapes of glasses in your house. So when you are pouring or when you are keeping water inside the bottle, depending upon the size of the bottle, depending upon the shape of the bottle, suppose a bottle is like this shape, or suppose another bottle is like this shape. So, or we can talk about a jar. So, what is the main thing about liquid? Liquids take the shape of the container where it is placed or where it is poured. Okay, so we cannot determine the liquid, we cannot determine the shape of a liquid apart from the container, but we can tell that liquids take the shape of the container. That's why it do not have a definite shape, it takes the shape of the container. Means if you will talk about shape, it do not have a definite shape. But what about volume? They have a definite volume. For example, I am taking 1 liter of water or 1 liter of milk. Suppose I will pour 1 liter of water here. The same 1 liter of water I will pour here. Means the volume of water in the first jar is similar to that of the volume of the water in second jar. Means the amount of water, that is 1 liter of water that we have taken in first jar, is same as that of in second also. Means liquids do not have the particular shape. It takes the shape of the container. No doubt it will take the shape of the container, but its volume will not change. Okay, the same if in container A also it has 1 liter, in container B also it is 1 liter. Means we can say that liquids do not have a particular shape. It takes the shape of the container, but it have a particular volume. Okay, do not have a definite shape but have a definite volume. Now let's talk about the gas. What about gas? Definitely gas also do not have a definite shape. We cannot see the definite shape of a gas. But what about its volume? Can we determine the definite volume of gas? No. Gas do not have particular shape and also it do not have particular volume. Means gases neither have a definite shape nor it have a definite volume. Means suppose take an example of agarbatti. Okay, the gas that will come out, okay, from as a fragrance. Can you stop? Can you hold that gas? No. It will spread all over the room. That's why if you will burn a candle or an agarbatti in one room, then the smell you can also feel in the next room, because gas have a very weak interparticle force of attraction. It has a very least interparticle force of attraction. The particles are very less tightly held with each other, so that they can very easily move apart from one another. So here we can say, we cannot say or we cannot have a definite shape of gas. What about when we want to keep a gas inside a container? Suppose if you, as we have taken liquid into different containers, can we keep gases into different containers? No, because it is not stationary. It is not fixed. The particles in gases are very loosely packed. That's why they cannot stay in a container. We cannot keep it in a container. Anyhow, if we will tie the lid of the container very tightly, then we can keep it for some times. But again, the same, if I will take a container, if I will take some gases inside, if I will tighten the lid of the container, then also the gases will not be fixed in a particular position. It will spread apart, or it will spread in the container fully. Okay, this is the difference between a gas and a liquid. When we are pouring or when we are keeping liquid in a container, it will remain in its fixed position and it will take the shape of the container. But gases cannot be in its fixed position. It will move randomly. So gases neither have a definite shape nor have a definite volume. And again, some more difference already you had in your class 6, need not to tell more. So that these are the general thing about solid, liquid and gas. The main thing here we have discussed about the interparticle force. Again, I will tell in the next topic, do not worry. So this is the topic, that is the force that keeps the constituent of matter together. What is the force? Interparticle force. Again, we can name the force also, that I will tell you in this next topic. That three main states of matter, that are the solid, liquid and slate. In a generalized way, I have explained it. Now we can see the interconversion of matter. Interconversion means the conversion among the state, means the conversion of one state to another state, from solid to liquid, or from liquid to solid, from solid to gas, from gas to solid. That all we will see there. So what happened to the matter so that it can undergo interconversion? How matters can interconvert among themselves. So there are two factors that can affect the interconversion of matter. What are the two factors? The two factors are temperature and pressure. The two factors that affects the interconversion or interchange of the states of matter, that is the temperature and pressure. What is temperature? If we will increase the temperature, then one state of matter can convert to another state. I will explain with example number. If you will lower the temperature, then also one state of matter can convert to another state. If you will apply pressure, then also one state of matter can convert to another state. Okay, so here mainly we will discuss about the application of temperature. Pressure is also playing an important role, but that part you will have in your higher class. Now just I am explaining what is the effect of temperature in the interconversion of states of matter. Suppose let's take the three states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. Okay, so what happened when solid? What happened to the matter that is solid so that it will convert into liquid? You can just pause the video and just think about it. After thinking, you can again re-switch the pause button. So what happened to the solid so that it can convert into liquid? So when we will what? Increase the temperature. Temperature increase. Okay, like this upward arrow I am giving for increase, downward arrow I will give for decrease. Okay, when we will increase the temperature, solid state will convert into liquid state, and this tendency is called melting. This tendency is called what? Melting. One short example I am giving: melting of ice to water. When we will take out ice from the refrigerator and we will keep outside, means the temperature outside is more, we are applying temperature to it, means the temperature, when the temperature is high, solid converts to liquid, and this tendency is called melting. Similarly, liquid can also change to solid. The same example we can take. When you will take the water inside the refrigerator, what will happen? The melted ice can again be converted to ice form. This tendency is called freezing. So here, what about the temperature? Low or high? Temperature is low. Downward arrow means low. Upward arrow means high. Okay. So again I am repeating. When temperature will increase, solid converts to liquid state. This process we call it as melting. When the temperature is low, or when we will decrease the temperature, again liquid can be interconverted to solid, and this process we call it as freezing. Okay. Similarly, liquid to gas. What happens? Again you will think of it. Increase in temperature or decrease in temperature. What? When the same. When we will increase the temperature. When we will increase the temperature, liquid can be converted to gas, and this process we call it as evaporation. Evaporation. Okay? So, evaporation is the process of conversion of liquid state to gaseous state by increasing the temperature. Very small example, when we will put a pan of water over gas, what will happen? All the water molecule, it will convert into what? Vapor or in gaseous state by increasing the temperature. The same, here we can write the conversion of gas to liquid. What? Temperature will increase or decrease? The temperature will decrease. What we can say? The conversion of gas to liquid? We can name it as condensation. Condensation. Condensation is the process of conversion of gaseous state to liquid state. So whenever you are writing the definition, do not forget to mention about the temperature. What is evaporation means? The conversion of liquid state to gaseous state by increase in temperature. What is condensation means? The conversion of gaseous state to liquid state by decreasing the temperature. Okay? So the next one is the gaseous state to solid state. So what happens when solid will convert directly to gas, or gas will convert to solid? When solid converts to gas, this process is called as sublimation. At a constant temperature, we can say sublimation, sometimes condensation, and here the conversion of gas to solid we call it as deposition. Okay? Deposition. Sublimation, deposition, condensation generally occurs at constant temperature. Here I am writing temperature constant. Okay? Here sometimes lower temperature, or also sometimes we can say at constant temperature. So again I am repeating, the conversion of solid state to gaseous state without forming liquid. See here, solid, here it is forming liquid by process of melting, and this liquid again it will convert to gas by the process of evaporation. But again one conversion may occur from solid to directly to gas without forming a liquid state. This is called sublimation. And again this gas again instead of converting to liquid, it can again convert into solid. Means the the direct conversion of solid to gas or from gas to solid can also happen. So the conversion of solid to gas we call it as sublimation, and the conversion of gas to solid we call it as deposition at somehow constant temperature. There are some example we can take when clouds are forming. That is generally the process of condensation. Okay, when frost or ice over leaf, when it forms, that is the example of deposition. Okay, this about sublimation, deposition, condensation, you will read it vastly in some other higher class. So now just have a look, just get clear about the topic, that is the conversion of solid, liquid and gas. So again, very shortly I am repeating. The interconversion of state can occur by changing the temperature and pressure. Here we are talking about the change in temperature, we are not talking about the change in pressure. But remember, pressure is also playing an important role in the interconversion of state. That I am not discussing now, it is not there. So what happened to the change in temperature? When the temperature will increase, just remember this, when the temperature will increase, solid changes to liquid, process by the process of melting. When the temperature will decrease, liquid can convert into solid by the process of freezing. When temperature will increase, liquid can convert into gas by the process of evaporation. And at lower temperature or somehow at constant temperature, gas can convert into liquid in the process of condensation. Solid can convert into gas without passing the liquid state is called sublimation. And gas can convert to solid without passing the liquid state. We call it as deposition at constant temperature. Remember, there is an intermediate stage in between the solid and gaseous state, that is the liquid state. Okay, solid to liquid, then to gas, or gas to liquid, then to solid. But in this case, no need of the liquid phase in between. Directly the conversion of solid to gas or gas to solid. Okay, so this is the interconversion of states of matter, that is from one state to another state by the change or by the increase or decrease in temperature. Okay, so next topic we will talk about the particle. Okay, what are the particle force, that is space force and all, that I will tell you in the next topic. So the next topic is the particulate nature of matter. What is the theory of particulate nature of matter? According to the theory of particulate nature of matter, matter consists of very small particles. What we can call it as? We can call it as atoms or molecules. This part already we have discussed. So, by the arrangement of atoms and molecules only, we can identify whether it is a solid or liquid or gas. Okay. So, there are some factors that affects the arrangement of particles or the arrangement of atoms and molecules in the matter. Okay. So, what are the factors? The factors are interparticle space, interparticle force, Brownian moment, of motion, and diffusion. Interparticle space, interparticle force, Brownian motion or Brownian moment also we can say, and diffusion. So these are some of the factors that affects the arrangement of particles. As I have shown in the first topic, that in solids the arrangement of particle is very tight, then in liquid and then in gas. Okay, so these are some of the factors that affects the arrangement of particles in a matter. So let's discuss these factors by comparing solid, liquid and gas. Again the same I am showing you: solid, liquid and gas. The arrangement of particles, that are the atoms and molecules we can see in solid. What about that? It is very closely packed. Okay. In liquid and in gas. Okay. So these are the arrangement of particles or the arrangement of atoms and molecules in solid, liquid and gas. Let's talk about the first factor, that is the interparticle space in solid, you can see the particles are very tightly arranged with each other, so they have very less interparticle space. Liquids have little more interparticle space than solid, and gases have the most interparticle space than solid and liquid. So how we can write that? If I will write here, solid has less interparticle force than liquid, and liquids have less interparticle space. Solids have less interparticle space than liquid, and liquids have less interparticle space than gas. So like this we can write. So which have the highest interparticle space of attraction, interparticle space among the atoms and molecules? Gases. Gases have the, you can see the space among the particles. Gases have the highest interparticle space. Liquids have less interparticle space than gas, and solids have very less interparticle space than liquid. So like this we can write. Now let's talk about the interparticle. If we will talk about the interparticle force in solid, liquid and gas, we can see here the particles, as I said already, are very tightly held with each other by means of a force we call it as interparticle force. And liquids have less interparticle force than solid, and gases have the least interparticle force than liquid and solid. So how we can write here? Solids have the highest interparticle force than liquid, and liquids have the highest interparticle force than gas. Thus, just the reverse of the above one. This is important one. Just remember this, you can able to answer the question. So, if you will see the interparticle space, gases have the highest interparticle space, but if you will see the interparticle force, gases have the least interparticle force. That's why they can move randomly from here to there. These interparticle force can also be said as cohesive force. Okay? This interparticle force among the particles, or this interparticle force among the atoms and molecules, we can also name it as cohesive force of attraction. About cohesive bond and all, you will read in your higher class. So these interparticle force, if I will tell you in which the cohesive force is more, in solid, then in liquid, and then in gas. Now let's talk about the Brownian motion or the Brownian movement. What is Brownian movement? Brownian motion or Brownian movement is the random movement of the particles, the random motion of the particles in solid or liquid or in gas. One very simple example I can give you, the example that I have given in today's first topic, that is, if I will keep gases, if I will pour gas particles or gas molecules inside a container, then the gases will not be in its fixed position, rather it will move throughout the vessel, or it will move throughout the container. And when it is moving throughout the container, this motion by the movement of the particles, that is collision or that is bombardment between the particles. These particles will collide with these particles will collide with this, again these particles will collide with the wall of the container, these particles will collide with the wall of the container. So due to Brownian motion, there is collision, or there is, we can say that they will dash with each other, they will collide with each other. Okay, this is called as Brownian motion or Brownian movement. Brownian motion is the erratic, random motion of the atoms and molecules in a matter. So now, can you tell me where the Brownian motion or Brownian movement is highest? In solid or in liquid or in gas? You can think of it. Where the Brownian movement is highest? Obviously, the Brownian motion is highest in gas. Why? Because the interparticle force is least in gas. As the particles in gas are very tightly, very loosely held, there is no force of attraction among the particle. Suppose someone will hold your hand very tightly. Can you move? No, because there is a force of attraction. When there will be no force of attraction, the movement of the particles will be easier. So the Brownian motion of the Brownian movement is very high in gases. It is little more in liquid than in solid. So in solid, the Brownian motion is very less than in liquid, than in gas. Actually, the Brownian motion in solid is negligible. Negligible means whenever whenever we apply temperature to solids and all, actually the particles will not move. The particles will vibrate in its position. So we can say Brownian motion or Brownian movement is negligible, or it is just like zero. It is negligible in solids. It is little more, because when you will pour water over a surface, it can move up to some distance. It is little more in liquid and it is highest in gas. That's why the leakage in LPG cylinder, or if you will what the smell of agarbattis and all, you can have the smell from one room to another room, from your kitchen to your drawing room. Why? Because gases can move. There is least interparticle force among the particles of gases. So this is about Brownian motion. So Brownian motion is least in solid and highest in gases. Now let's talk about the last topic, that is diffusion. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of particle. One very small example here I am giving you to explain diffusion. Okay. Suppose here I will take two containers. This is one container and this is another container. But these two containers are joined with each other. Okay. Suppose in container I am naming it A and B. Suppose in container A only water particles are there. I have taken water. And in container B, I have taken sugar solution. Water along with sugar. Water along with sugar particle. Okay. Again I am repeating. In container A, I have taken only water, and in container B, I have taken sugar along with water. Now, if I will ask you the amount of water, if I will ask you where, in which container the amount of water is more? Obviously, in container A. If I will ask you in which container the amount of sugar particle is more? Obviously, in container B. Okay, so my point to explain you that whenever two solution or two substances with different concentration, here we are talking about the amount. Okay, without taking the term concentration, here I am using the term amount. Whenever two substances of different amount are kept contact with each other, there will be movement of particles among themselves. So what movement? See here, in container A the amount of water is more, and in container B the amount of sugar particle is more. So some of the sugar particle from B, it will move towards A. Okay, and some of the water particles from A, it will move towards B, until there will be equalization of water and sugar all around. Understood? Until container A and B will have equal amount of sugar and water, till that there will be movement of particles. This is only known as diffusion. Okay? Diffusion is the movement of particles from one solution to another solution, or one substance to another substance, when they have concentration difference. Means, if suppose I will take equal amount of sugar water here and equal sugar water here, there will be no movement, because the amount of sugar and water present over here is equal to the amount of sugar and water present here. So when there is a gap of amount, or when there is a concentration gap, means here if I will take only water, here if I will take only sugar, and if here I will take sugar water, then there will be what? Interchange of particles among the two containers. This is called diffusion. Do not show you now practically. Okay, so this is all about interparticle space, interparticle force, Brownian motion and diffusion. So if we will talk about diffusion, then diffusion is least or negligible in solid, little more in liquid and most in gases. Why? Because the particles in solids are very tightly packed. That's why it is very difficult for them to move from one container to another container. In liquids it may take place, and in gases it can take place very rapidly. Okay, so this is all about the four factors, that is the interparticle space, force, Brownian moment and diffusion. This is a very easy topic as well as important topic also. Sometimes students get confusion among the topic. So do not get confused, just remember these things. Okay, these greater than and less than symbol you just remember. Then you can easily answer all the questions related to interparticle space, force, Brownian motion and diffusion. Okay.
So students, here we can take an example for Brownian moment. When you will see a beam of light in a dark room coming from the window side, you can observe some dust particle over there. Okay, so how the dust particle, they are moving randomly. Okay, so if you will observe deeply, then it is not only moving in the downward, rather it is moving in all direction in a random motion, because it is gas. So these particles, when they are moving randomly, they will collide with each other. Just have a simple experiment. Just take your hand and move it rapidly over the beam of light. Then you can observe that the particles will start moving rapidly and there will be many collision among them. You can observe here the collision of the particles will be fast than earlier. Why? Because the particles present in the beam of light starts moving in a rapid motion. It is first discovered by Robert Brown. Now let's discuss about diffusion. So what is diffusion? The movement of particles from higher concentration to lower concentration. You can see here there are two substances separated with each other. Substance A contains more number of particles and substance B contains less number of particles. When they are allowed to mix with each other, you can see some of the particles from the region A will move towards the region B until there will be equalize in the concentration. So this is only called as diffusion. The same we can take the example for gases. That's why we can feel the smell of gases from one room to another room. This tendency is called diffusion. It is more in gases than in liquid and least in solids.